After the mansion burned down, a man named Victor emerges, claiming to be the rightful heir. A young antiquities dealer, he insists he has no belief in the supernatural, but an unusual tattoo on his wrist, a symbol matching the ones found on the iron door in the mansion's basement, raises questions. Victor starts gathering artifacts salvaged from the ruins, the mirror from the hidden room, ancient records, amulets, and of course, the porcelain doll. But as he dives deeper into his research, strange events begin to unfold. People notice Victor speaking to himself, and at night, faint blue-green lights flicker in the windows of his home. The porcelain doll found in the ashes isn't just a decorative relic, it's tied to the mansion's dark rituals. When a museum curator takes it for study, bizarre incidents occur. The doll inexplicably appears in photographs, even when locked away in its display case. One morning, the curator finds a note next to it that reads, "She is always near." A week later, the curator vanishes without a trace. The doll is returned to Victor, who accepts it without hesitation, murmuring, "Now everything is in its place." Victor pieces together fragments of charred books recovered from the ruins, attempting to perform a ritual he claims will seal what was unleashed. But his intentions aren't what they seem. Rather than banishing the darkness, Victor aims to harness its power for immortality. The ritual requires the blood of the original mansion owner's descendants. Victor uses old records to track them down. Those who come into contact with him begin to disappear, their drained bodies discovered near the mansion ruins. The escalating events attract the attention of a modern paranormal investigation team determined to uncover the mansion's secrets and stop the spreading darkness. They set up camp at the ruins, capturing strange phenomena: flickering lights, ghostly whispers, and shadowy figures. On the third night, they find a hidden entrance beneath the ruins leading to the glowing pit. The pit is no longer silent, echoes of voices rise from its depths. "He seeks us to return, but we will not leave." When they try to record the sounds, their cameras overheat, and one investigator vanishes into the underground tunnels. His body is later found, his face frozen in terror. The investigators uncover an old letter written by the mansion's original owner. "This is not a house, it is a vessel. We awakened what should have remained asleep forever." The letter reveals the mansion was built over an ancient pagan altar, and the spirit of the woman trapped in the mirror was its guardian. Those who tried to exploit the mansion's power were inevitably consumed by it. Victor completes his ritual, but instead of gaining control over the power, he unleashes the entity that had been trapped for centuries. A massive, ghostly figure of a woman with hollow eyes materializes above the ruins. The ground begins to quake, splitting open as spectral hands emerge from the pit, reaching for Victor. The investigators attempt to intervene, but their efforts are futile. The ruins collapse into a massive sinkhole, swallowing everything around them. In the aftermath, nothing remains but scorched earth. Those who were at the site vanish without a trace. Weeks later, the porcelain doll reappears on the barren ground. Its smile has grown wider, and a new symbol is etched into its dress. Here's a continuation that deepens the mystery without concluding it, leaving readers or viewers on edge. The young girl who picks up the porcelain doll feels an inexplicable connection to it. Her parents, worried about the doll's eerie presence, try to dispose of it, but the doll always finds its way back into the girl's room. One evening, the girl tells her parents. She says she doesn't like the dark. She needs the mirror. Her parents dismiss it as childish imagination, but that night, they hear faint whispers coming from the girl's room. When they investigate, they find her sitting in the middle of the room, clutching the doll and staring into an old, cracked mirror that hadn't been in the house before. Meanwhile, the surviving investigators, those who fled the mansion ruins, begin to experience recurring nightmares. They see the glowing pit, Victor's silhouette, and hear the same chilling voice from the depths. It is not over. The vessel is only the beginning. One of the team members, Sarah, begins to piece together a pattern. She finds historical records that mention not just the mansion but similar occurrences around the world, ancient sites that acted as vessels for the same entity. The locations are marked with the same symbol etched onto the porcelain doll. Her research takes a darker turn when she discovers that each vessel site ended with catastrophic events. Villages consumed by fire, towns lost to floods, and cities abandoned overnight. Victor is not dead. Instead, he appears in a remote location, battered but alive. A dark, spectral mark now covers the side of his face, pulsing faintly. He begins contacting the descendants of the original mansion builders, claiming to have survived a tragedy and wanting to rebuild what was lost. But his true goal becomes clear when he retrieves the ancient mirror, stolen from the mansion ruins before the collapse. The mirror, cracked and tarnished, now shows glimpses of a desolate landscape, one not of this world. Inside the reflection, faint figures can be seen moving, their hollow eyes watching Victor as he begins a new ritual. The young girl, still obsessed with the doll, starts drawing disturbing picture sketches of shadowy hands, twisted symbols, and a woman's face with empty eyes. She speaks of the lady in the mirror and begins avoiding sunlight, insisting that the doll hates the light. One night, the girl's parents wake to find every mirror in their home cracked. On each one is a smudged, childlike handprint. The glowing pit beneath the mansion ruins hasn't stopped pulsing. Locals report hearing low, mournful wails coming from the site, though no one dares venture near it. Then, a sinkhole opens further, revealing a massive underground chamber filled with carvings, grotesque depictions of human figures bowing to a towering, hollow-eyed figure. Sarah and her team investigate, but as they descend into the pit, their equipment malfunctions and their flashlights flicker. The air grows colder as they hear faint whispers. The vessel was shattered, but the passage remains. The chamber walls begin to tremble, and something stirs in the shadows. Victor sets up a hidden base of operations, surrounded by artifacts from other vessel sites. His ultimate goal, to summon the entity fully into the world. He believes that by controlling the mirror's portals between realms, he can command the entity's power. But the mirrors begin to act on their own. Victor's reflection no longer mimics him but instead smirks, moves independently, and even speaks, warning him. You are only the key, not the master. Victor starts to question whether he is still in control or if he ever was. Back at the young girl's home, her parents find her sitting before the mirror, chanting words in a language they don't understand. The doll is perched beside her, its painted eyes now faintly glowing. As her parents try to intervene, the mirror shatters, and for a brief moment, they see something through the shards, a towering, hollow-eyed figure leaning closer, its hand reaching through the fractured glass. The lights in the house go out, and the screen fades to black. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story. The girl, now fully enthralled by the doll, begins to act as if she's following unseen instructions. She whispers to it at night, her words unintelligible to her terrified parents. When questioned, she replies, she says, I'm the only one who can help her come home. One morning, the girl's mother wakes to find every reflective surface in the house covered in strange, smeared symbols. On the bathroom mirror, written in something that looks like ash, are the words, "The vessel is near." Elsewhere, Victor continues his experiments with the ancient mirror. He discovers that the mirror isn't just a portal but also an amplifier for the entity's power. When he places artifacts near it, items from the other vessel sites, the mirror begins to emit a low hum, and fleeting visions of otherworldly landscapes appear. Victor starts seeing shadowy figures following him, their movements synchronized with his reflection but not his real body. They whisper one word repeatedly. Release. The sinkhole at the mansion ruins starts to change. A strange, pulsating glow can be seen from deep within, and locals begin reporting unnatural occurrences, livestock disappearing, electrical storms centered over the site, and a low vibration that seems to emanate from the earth itself. Sarah, the lead investigator, receives a package containing an old journal belonging to one of the mansion's original builders. Inside is a chilling account of a ritual gone wrong. The final entry reads, "We built the vessel, but the vessel became the gate. If it is opened again, there will be no turning back." The girl's artwork becomes increasingly unsettling. She draws detailed depictions of hollow-eyed figures walking through her home, standing over her parents as they sleep. One night, her father discovers a new drawing tucked under her pillow. It shows the family, but their faces are scratched out, and above them looms a towering, shadowy woman holding the porcelain doll. Below the image are words scrawled in shaky handwriting. She's already here. Victor begins to lose control of his experiments. The mirror grows darker, and its reflections start showing events that haven't happened yet, scenes of destruction, fire, and chaos. He attempts to stop the visions by smashing the mirror, but the shards scatter and reform into smaller versions, each reflecting the same apocalyptic images. One night, Victor's own reflection speaks to him. "You are the key, but you are not the one who will open the door." Victor becomes increasingly paranoid, convinced that the entity is using him as a pawn in a much larger plan. Sarah and her team decide to descend into the sinkhole, despite the growing dangers. As they explore the underground chamber, they uncover carvings that tell the story of the entity, a being of immense power trapped between worlds. Using vessels like the mansion to inch closer to freedom, they find remnants of Victor's earlier attempts to perform a ritual, but the carvings warn of a greater danger. If the gate opens, she will not come alone. Deeper into the cavern, the team encounters an altar surrounded by shattered mirrors. The mirrors begin to vibrate and align themselves, forming a pathway deeper into the earth. At home, the girl's connection to the doll intensifies. She begins to speak in a voice that is no longer her own, reciting incantations in an ancient, guttural language. Her parents, desperate to help her, contact Sarah, who arrives with a piece of shattered mirror recovered from the ruins. The moment the girl sees it, she screams, and the mirror fragment begins to glow. The doll, now sitting on the floor, turns its head slightly toward the mirror, as if recognizing it. The girl, trembling, says the gate is ready. At the ruins, the sinkhole starts to expand, swallowing nearby trees and structures. People report seeing faint, humanoid shapes rising from the pit, their hollow eyes glowing in the dark. The vibrations grow stronger, shaking the ground for miles around. Victor appears at the site, carrying the ancient mirror, now whole again. He places it on the edge of the pit, and as he begins a final incantation, the shadows rise to meet him. Meanwhile, Sarah realizes that the doll, the mirror, and the pit are all interconnected. She tries to destroy the doll, but the girl screams, clutching her chest as though she's being torn apart. The doll remains unscathed, its painted eyes now alive with an unnatural light. Victor's ritual nears completion, and the glowing pit erupts with a blinding light. The mirror shows the image of an endless, barren landscape, filled with thousands of shadowy figures marching toward the gate. In the girl's home, every mirror begins to crack simultaneously. The doll turns its head toward the largest mirror, and a faint, echoing voice fills the air. The vessel was only the beginning. The screen fades to black as the sound of shattering glass echoes into silence. Victor stands at the edge of the glowing pit, reciting the incantation he believes will grant him power. The mirror he holds vibrates violently, as if resisting his control. Suddenly, a deafening scream echoes from the pit, causing the ground to tremble. The shadows rising from the pit stop moving and turn their hollow eyes toward Victor. Their forms shift, becoming more defined, human-like but impossibly tall, with elongated limbs and faces that seem to stretch and ripple as though made of smoke. The largest of the figures speaks in a guttural, otherworldly voice. The vessel is fractured. The gate opens too soon. Before Victor can respond, the mirror begins to crack from within. Instead of breaking apart, the shards start to fall inward, revealing a swirling void beyond. Victor tries to pull back, but the mirror pulls him closer, its surface reflecting a younger version of himself, terrified and pleading for release. Back in her home, the girl begins speaking directly to the doll as if it's giving her instructions. Her parents hear her say, "He doesn't understand. The gate isn't ready, but they're coming anyway." The doll's painted eyes now glow faintly, flickering in time with the vibrations coming from the ruins. The girl draws a new picture, a map with several marked locations around the world, each connected by jagged lines leading to the pit. Her mother, terrified, asks, "Who is coming?" The girl turns to her, her voice low and flat. "All of them." Sarah, studying the shattered mirrors and journal she recovered, uncovers an alarming truth. The gate isn't just for one entity, it's a nexus. If fully opened, it will allow countless beings trapped in the void between worlds to spill into ours. Worse, the ritual Victor is performing isn't closing the gate. It's accelerating its collapse. The pit is a focal point, but Sarah realizes there are other vessels worldwide. If they activate, the gate will expand uncontrollably. As she pieces this together, her reflection in a nearby shard of mirror moves on its own, mimicking her movements with a delay. When she looks closer, the reflection smiles, then whispers, "You're too late." At the ruins, the shadows begin to rise out of the pit, moving slowly but with purpose. Victor is no longer in control. He's frozen, staring into the mirror as though transfixed. The largest shadow addresses him again. "You have broken the seal, but you are unworthy to lead." The mirror shatters in his hands, and Victor collapses to his knees. From the shards, a smaller shadow emerges, this one more solid and human-like. Its form twists into something resembling Victor but distorted. Its face an exaggerated version of his own, its eyes glowing faintly. The shadow Victor steps toward the edge of the pit, raising its arms. The other shadows kneel. The girl begins to chant the same incantation Victor had been using, her voice growing deeper and more unnatural with each word. The lights in the house flicker, and her parents attempt to grab her, but an unseen force throws them back. The girl holds the doll out, and its eyes blaze brighter than ever. She says, "They'll take him first, but we all belong to her." Suddenly, the porcelain doll's mouth cracks open, revealing sharp teeth inside, and it emits a low, guttural growl. Desperate to stop the growing chaos, Sarah gathers her team and travels to one of the locations marked on the girl's map, a remote temple hidden deep in the forest. The temple matches the descriptions from the journal. Another vessel, long abandoned. Inside, they find an altar surrounded by mirrors, each reflecting scenes from the ruins and other vessel sites. One mirror shows the girl, holding the doll, her eyes glowing faintly. Another shows Victor's shadow double standing triumphant at the pit. The largest mirror, cracked and darkened, begins to hum. A voice emanates from it. "The gate will open. One vessel is never enough." All around the world, reports begin surfacing of strange phenomena. Mirrors cracking spontaneously in homes and public spaces. People vanishing in front of reflective surfaces. Unexplained tremors near ancient ruins and archaeological sites. At one site, a team of researchers discovers an artifact identical to the doll, a porcelain figure with glowing eyes. It begins to speak, repeating a chilling phrase. "She comes for the vessels." The pit at the ruins grows larger, swallowing the surrounding area. The shadows begin pouring out into the world, moving faster now. Those who come into contact with them are left catatonic, their eyes wide and mouths open in silent screams. Victor, still kneeling at the pit's edge, whispers, "I didn't mean for this to happen." The shadow Victor turns to him and replies, "You were never meant to lead, only to open." The girl, now fully under the doll's control, delivers a final message to her parents. "It's too late for you to stop it, but she might save me if you listen." Before they can ask what she means, the doll begins to hum, emitting the same low vibration as the pit. The girl collapses, unconscious, as the house fills with whispers. In the last moment, the father notices a new drawing crumpled on the floor. It shows the girl standing in front of the pit, holding the doll. Behind her is a massive figure, a woman with hollow eyes, her arms outstretched as shadows spill from her hands. The father turns, and the screen goes black as a loud crack echoes from the largest mirror in the house. At the ruins, Victor's shadow double completes the ritual. The pit explodes with blinding light as the gate fully opens, revealing a desolate void filled with countless shadowy beings. They begin to pour into the world, spreading darkness and chaos. Back at the girl's home, the doll begins to crumble in her hands, revealing a black crystal core. The girl wakes, her eyes glowing faintly, and speaks in a voice that is not her own. The vessel is free. The gatekeeper has arrived. The black crystal levitates and shatters, releasing a final burst of energy that knocks her parents unconscious. At the temple, Sarah realizes the only way to stop the gate is to destroy the remaining vessels. Using the ancient mirrors, she channels the energy of the artifacts into the largest mirror, causing it to fracture. The temple begins to collapse as Sarah chants the final words from the journal. As the temple mirror shatters completely, the pit at the ruins begins to collapse. The shadow beings scream as they are pulled back into the void. Victor's shadow double disintegrates, leaving Victor alone at the edge of the shrinking pit, laughing hysterically as the world around him crumbles. The girl wakes up in her parents' arms, seemingly normal again. But when she looks into the mirror, her reflection smirks before whispering, "It's never truly over." The final scene shows one last shard of the black crystal lying in the ruins of the pit, faintly pulsing with light. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story.